Well, here we are with another army. This is my Sea People's Army, part of the Biblical or Bronze Age series. The Sea People, we really don't know where they came from, but I think we probably do. That was a collection of tribes in the 13th century that came through as an alliance from the north and through the sea, and maybe even North Libya and the islands and Anatolia, the Aegean. When they landed, they caused mass destruction. The downfall of the Hittite Empire, stretched the Assyrian Empire, went really through the Aegean, the Greek city-states, all the way down into Philistine and Canaanite, and just caused mass destruction. 13th and 12th century. But whatever their origin, their seaborne raids caused increasing pressure on civilization and really caused the decline of many, many powerful states. So this is the army that I have. I did not paint this army, but I bought this army, and I was so happy to do that from my dear friend Simon Clark. He did just a wonderful job. And, when I didn't paint something, I don't want to take credit for it. He did this, and I think he did a wonderful job, and it really filled out my collection. But I think that it's nice to show other people's works and their art and what they did. And Simon most people know him as being the owner of Lurkio and other things. He's really an icon in our hobby, and I really thank him for allowing me to purchase this army from him. But I think that he bought these figures and from Fighting 15s or Gladiator. That's where I think they came from. But he did a great job, organizing them into the different tribes. We've got Sheridan, and we've got Luca, and we have Ekwesh, and Teresh, and Sheklesh, and Peliset. But you see, he painted each one with, they had these small round shields with these bronze caps for protection, and they have, this traditional horsehair or hair standing up in their helmet that we kind of know them from. And, whatever the color of that was, I've seen various different depictions of colorful headdress. Even on the Egyptian reliefs, they show them. The Sheridan had the horned helmets, but certainly the other tribes had this very typical hat. And I think you can just take some artistic license. People ask me, well, where did you get your colors? Well, I think we just pick them based on what we want our army to look like, and we try our best. Simon, I think he did a pretty good job. I'm very happy with it. But there's a large contingent of skirmishers here. There's I believe 4 different battle groups from the different tribes, and then the largest one being the Sheridan, and I think the Peliset. But they had a lot of skirmishers, and what's nice is you can take this army and you can morph it into others. You can add this one to the Libyan, you can add this one to the Egyptian, you can add various contingents to various different armies. So I think that's nice. Or you can add to this one by bringing in Libyan allies. If you know your history, the Libyans and the Sea People made a huge attack on Egypt under Ramses III. And I think that was called the Fields of Pur-Year in 1231, but they got beaten back by the Egyptians. But this army would have maybe a small contingent of chariots, have Retuni swordsmen, or have 2 units. Those are the Sheridan, and then just regular ordinary spearmen like you see here. The different battle groups that I created for the different ancient rule sets that I do use are colored differently. I don't think that looks so bad. I actually think it looks pretty good, and it's easily identifiable, and it's just a representation of our thoughts, right? And as wargamers, we try to get as accurate as we can, but sometimes you have to add a little bit of artistic license. But, these figures are really nice, and how he did it is very good, because they have, these tasseled kilts reinforced. They were very colorful. You had your horned helmets, and you had your different what they call the well, I already mentioned this tall crown. But I think it's a lot of fun to play with. I've used it a couple of times on the battlefield. I have to say it's pretty ferocious. At least that's what we make it in history. We think about the sea peoples, and we tend to give them extra dice or other things. Probably shouldn't, but it's kind of fun that way. The commanders we have are in either on foot or on chariot. This one here is a Libyan or Nubian allies. Very well depicted. Here we come to the Sheridan. So they've got that typical horned helmet, you see. And that's the camp. Has a little alligator on it. But you can see the Sheridan have this really nice helmet on the back and painted in black. There we go. And I think they look pretty menacing. They've got that long sword. That's what they had. Their other allied city-states had more shorter swords, not as long as the Sheridan. And so you want them to be a little bit more ferocious. And what's interesting is, they think that they came from Sicily and other places. If you look at a lot of the statues that we found, they have a very similar helmet to the Sheridan. And so you can kind of trace back some of these tribes to its origins of various regions today. Sardinia, Corsica, Libya. That's where the Meshwesh came from. So this idea that these tribes were from some weird place, it wasn't. Something moved them, and they allied together. How they allied together, that's probably the key. But I think Simon did a pretty good job there. I mean, the size of that crocodile is just ferocious. I don't know if I would really say that that's my camp. That certainly the card, but he is very artistic and comes up with some very interesting looking camps. But it certainly wouldn't be one that I would want to take, if you know what I mean. You'd end up on the other end of sharp swords. But anyway, I wanted to show it, and I think it looks pretty nice. Anyway, this is what a Sea People army could look like. There's not other thing I wanted to say. There's not a whole lot of figures out there for the Bronze Age and for biblicals, right? You've got Essex, which do a really great job, but there's not that many poses. You've got Fighting 15s, which bought up Gladiator, and I think the old Chariot miniatures, which they probably have the largest range. But then Khorasan just came out with their New Kingdom Egyptian, and I think he's got a couple of other. He's got some Gaskins, which are beautiful, which I'll show in one of my next movies. Videos. I just didn't want to date myself there, but I don't think there's a lot of variety. So you have to kind of be more artistic in how you present them. But I think their chariots look good. Their foot soldiers look good. It's how you depict them and paint them, and that's what I wanted to say. There's just not a lot of options out there, and I don't think that this period is too terribly popular either. But it should be. It really is a lot of fun, and there are just tons and tons of battles that took place during that time frame. I mean, all you have to do is pick up Nigel Stillman's book, Armies of the Ancient Near East. He's got 20 pages full of battles. Or Warlords, Hail Caesar, which I play from time to time, have a really great supplement for biblical and chariot wars, taking you all the way back to the Sumerian Akkadian Empire. Scenarios, probably a good 40, 50. So they're challenging, and you really have to think about your battle tactics. But anyway, I wanted to show you this army that was so very important in the change of our history. It brought down two very large empires and multiple smaller ones, and really caused the collapse of the Bronze Age and brought on a new era. So this is the army that did that. Well, thank you very much for listening. If you see anything I need to change, just write me. Most of you do. Take care.